Welcome to Lacrosse Classified, your go-to source for all things NLL and box lacrosse. We will bring you the biggest names and best storylines in the world every single week. So settle down and listen up. It's time for Lax Class.
What's going on, lacrosse fans? Welcome back to Lacrosse Classified here on the Lacrosse Culture Daily Podcast Network. Lax Class 350. 350 is now in your eardrums. Thanks for listening. Jake Elliott, Lucas Archer. Back in the co-host chair, and we have a buttload of lacrosse talk here over the next hour and so to bring you. So let's jump right into it, Lucas. I'm going to tell the people what's coming up before I let you jump in here because there is a lot to cover this week. We got a big focus this week, and we'll talk about that in mere moments as the Rochester Knighthawks are staying in Rochester. Big focus is coming up here in period number one. Report cards are also coming up along with our Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week and our Rycor Construction Standout Players of the Week as well. Period number two, the boss of lacrosse. Lacrosse boss, Matt Caruk, who is one of the premier voices of Ontario Lacrosse. He calls a shit ton of junior games, does the Oakville Rock. I think he might even dabble in Senior B as well. I know he'll be at the President's Cup. So Matty Caruk will join us here on Lax Class in period number two. Looking forward to that conversation. And then in period number three, we will try and piece together an exclusive parlay, courtesy of CoolBet, for the Lax Class Lock of the Week. Playoff style for WLA, as we'll have to have a look at the odds, Lucas. I haven't even done that yet. So we'll kind of do that on the fly in the third period, but lots to get to here on the big program. But first and foremost, how's it going? I know you just got off your yacht sailboat there with your photo op that you had there, Captain Largy. I mean, that was a little over the top, pal, but how's it going?
Going well, man. Thanks. It was a fun weekend out there on my aunt and uncle's sailboat that they have.
How big is that
times.
thing?
How big is it? I actually don't know. Like from stem to stern, I actually don't know the
It's a
length
yacht.
of it.
It's a yacht.
It's not. It's just a regular sailboat, catamaran, but I don't know the size.
No, we're talking like plus 30 feet on this thing. You get over 30, 35 feet, it's classified as a yacht.
I don't think it's 30 feet. It could be, but for the size that it was, yeah, I don't think it was up to 30 feet.
All right. Well, Grandpa was out there. You were at the wheel. You didn't have the captain's hat on, which I was a little disappointed about. But out there in beautiful Georgian Bay, sailing away. What about the rest of the long weekend? What else did you do?
I spent some time with family. Spent the weekend, obviously, at my cottage. Bonfires at night, which were fun. Played a little badminton out there at the cottage, which was fun. Outdoor badminton. It's different if you've never played it before. You got to deal with the wind and a whole bunch of other stuff, which was fun. And I'm getting better at cornhole. I don't know how much you've dabbled in that game, Jumbo, but I'm starting to get real good at tossing the old bean bags.
Okay. Yeah, not a huge cornhole guy, to be honest with you, but badminton, underrated sport.
Oh, it is 100%.
Love a good game of badminton.
No, and then my weekend ended on a very good note as the Whippy Warriors tied up the series of the Ontario Finals on Monday night, which was nice to come home to.
Yes, I watched that last night. Now, problem for Whippy, going to lose a few players here coming up in the series. We'll touch on that as we go around the world of box lacrosse. Danny had to work out in Hope, British Columbia, which is a couple hours away from where I live for the day on Friday, but agreed to drive her out there. Just happened to be a disc golf course that I have yet to play out there in Hope, so I figured, I'll go along for the drive and spend a little time at Hope Disc Golf Course, and glad I did, except for the traffic getting out of town on a Friday on a long weekend, less than ideal. But made it through that, spent a lot of time staying up late into the morning as the World Disc Golf Championships were happening in Finland. So start times for that began around midnight. and went right through the wee hours of the morning. So the body clock is a little jacked up after the weekend watching that. But had a nice long weekend off. Actually got to call a football game on Saturday for the Langley Rams. Exciting game. They won that. Got a chance to actually just go watch a game, which I rarely get to do, but got a chance to go watch Coquitlam and Victoria in the BC Junior final on, what day was that? That was Sunday night, I believe. And then what else? Took a hike up the hill just this morning on Tuesday. I'm trying to think what I did on Monday. Can't remember what I did on Monday, but I'm kind of glad this long weekend is behind us. And now it's the push to the finish line here, because things are hot and heavy as far as the playoff matchups go. Championships are just around the corner, and it's all gonna, come to a crescendo here in a couple of weeks from now. President's Cup, Minto Cup, Founders Cup, Man Cup coming up. So great time of the year, and it's also a great time for the National Lacrosse League. As an announcement just this morning, I didn't set the alarm. This thing was happening at 7 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast. I figured I'll just kind of wake up and get the Coles notes here, which I did. What a day. Let's talk about it right now. Time for the big focus.
Big focus.
Big focus.
Focus. Other than a big focus.
Focus.
Big focus.
Big focus. The big focus. Big focus. Big focus. Big focus this week. We don't do it often in the summertime, but when it requires we do it, we're going to do it. Big focus this week, Lucas, as they finally got it done. They pushed it across the finish line. The Rochester Knighthawks are staying in Western New York. I mean, this is grand slam here for the National Lacrosse League. I know this took way longer than a lot of people wanted. I mean, there was a time when I had just succumbed myself to thinking the Knighthawks were done and it was over, but not the case here. Seneca Nation purchasing the Rochester Knighthawks. They're staying in Rochester. They're staying at Blue Cross Arena. And now we have one of the richest and biggest nations in North America here have taken over the Rochester Knighthawks, and they're going to keep them in Rochester. Indigenous roots. This is about as good of an ownership group as the league could get here, with Seneca Nation now in charge of the Knighthawks. One thing I just hope here, Lucas, please, pretty please, with sugar on top. Bring back the purple and teal here for the Knighthawks next coming season.
I was just about to say that. You stole my line. But no, it was amazing to see. I caught a little bit of the press conference this morning that they had and the announcement that they made. Amazing. This could not have worked out any better for lacrosse fans, NLL fans, the league as a whole. To keep a team that's been around since the early stages of the National Lacrosse League, and for them to be able to find a way to come out of this thing on a positive note, bring in a new ownership group, keep the franchise alive, it's amazing. And I'm very pleased to see that the league is not shrinking. It's staying at the same number of teams that it was last year, which is nice to see.
Okay, so that's great news. We'll get more details on Seneca Nation, the relationship with the National Lacrosse League, but we know they're staying in Rochester. But, not all is flowers and rainbows and all the rest of it here. There's still some issues to be worked out with the National Lacrosse League and, of course, a collective bargaining agreement. We had Jamie Dowick on a couple of weeks ago. I said August 31st, we got to get this done by. He said, no, we're talking before that. We are now August 5th as we are recording this podcast. They extended free agency opening on August 1st to August 15th, so they pushed that back a couple of weeks. From what I can gather, just kind of chit-chatting with people who would be in the know, I think things are inching forward. I think there is progress being made, but very slowly. I think we could easily see another extension come up on the 15th, maybe to the end of the month. I don't really know about doing this in like 2-week increments. I think, and I know others feel the same way here, that they're better off just saying, like, let's give it a month. Then you're not talking about it every 2 weeks. It's kind of in the background. You just let things play out a little bit. Here, I'm trying to remain optimistic. I think there's some options involved here. From what I can understand, I think we're probably moving towards maybe a 1-year extension and then give everybody more time to kind of figure out the landscape and how to make it all work. I think we may see just a real short-term deal, a 1-year deal, just extend this thing down the road a little bit, figure it out. It sounds like there is a bit of a divide at the ownership level. Like, I think some are on board to just extend it a year and push it down the road. I think some are in favor of a work stoppage. Some want a long-term deal or nothing. And as good as the Rochester news is, there's still some teams that have some issues. And I think that's kind of part of the problem. And I'm not going to sit here and rattle off the teams that I think are in some trouble here, but there are a couple of more teams here that their future is in jeopardy, and I think that's kind of a big roadblock onto why CBA negotiations are crawling along at a snail's pace here.
It's tough when you want to be able to get something done, but not all parties are agreeing to it. And if that's what's happening at the discussion table right now, it's tough. I don't envy any people in management, owners, GMs, presidents, etc., for trying to come to an agreement. But I do want to ask you, Jake, if you are part of the management group of a team, would you just say, let's just extend this a year and then revisit this? Or would you rather look at the league and say, yeah, we're not having a season until we get this thing ratified?
The National Lacrosse League is a very unique league for many reasons, but one of them being, it's not like the NHL or NBA where each one of those teams essentially owns the building that they play out of and maybe own multiple entities that play out of that building. There's kind of different tiers and different structures right across the league, from teams like Buffalo, where they own the Sabres, they own Key Bank Center, they own, Colorado, where they own the Nuggets, the Avalanche, the Mammoth, the building. And then there's teams like Halifax, where they don't own the building, but they do very well in Halifax. And then there's teams like Albany, where they don't own the building and they're kind of struggling to put bodies in the building. There's teams like Toronto, where they don't play in Toronto, they play in Hamilton, but they have an owner that, I don't think he's looking at his bank account every day going, oh man, like do I want to keep doing this? And then so what I'm saying is there's just different levels of ownership. There's different scenarios and structures of building agreements and, all these different fan bases and all these things. So it's not like everybody's the Calgary Roughnecks where they have this big conglomerate and they're just like, let's get this done. What are we doing here? There's smaller ownership groups that have to look out for their future as well. And it's hard to kind of get 14 different teams and owners with all different tiers of ownership in this league. I don't know how else to put that. So to try and get all those people to agree on one single CBA, that's really the challenge here, is that everybody has an opinion on this, and it's really hard to get everybody to agree on it.
Yeah, I can see how that would become a big issue, a major headache, and I'm not sure what we could see happen in the next coming weeks, months, etc. You're right, Dowlick said before August 31st. I'm not too sure if that's actually going to happen. The way that this is going, and they've said that they're not going to say anything until August 15th, or put out some sort of next announcement.
Well, if it happens before the 15th, then great. But I think we're going to get to the 15th, and I think we're going to see, you know what, we're going to push this back another 2 weeks. But I really don't see them being able to go much further past that. Like, the entry draft is scheduled for the beginning of September. And like Jamie said, you need a bit of a runway and lead time to get your free agents signed before the entry draft. And that just doesn't happen overnight. So you need days, maybe even a week, to kind of make that happen. So September 5th, September 6th, whatever it is, at least a week before that. So if they push it another 2 weeks, then, it has to be before the end of August. You asked me what I would do if I was part of a management and ownership group here. Again, that's a hard question to answer depending on what type of owner and what type of agreement and relationship I have with the building and all the rest of it. But I'll tell you this, regardless of that, I think a work stoppage probably kills 3 teams that, won't come back to this league if we stop for a year. They'll just shut down and they won't come back. It'll just kill momentum that this league has generated over the course of the last 5-7 years to where we've gotten from to where we are now. You shut this league down for a year, you miss a season, that's going to spell the end for a few teams. So I say, if you can't figure out a long-term deal, then let's just extend it for a year and make it work and get something done within that count. Like, don't leave it until the end of the season again. Be working on this while the season is going on, and make sure by the end of that next season, you can announce, hey, we got a long-term deal in place. This is what's going to happen for the future of the National Lacrosse League.
And I wholeheartedly agree with you, Jake. They need to be working on this as the season's going along. You can't just say, okay, we'll extend it for another year. Our announcement will come out on August 20th, and then we don't do
6 months.
March.
Around the clock here.
You need to have constant, open communications with people on what is going on if people are serious about growing lacrosse. It's not a big sport. Everybody knows that. Lacrosse for the first time will be held in the Olympics in 2028 for the first time ever as a true event. If we want to see this happen again and have more NLL franchises, people need to be talking, putting in the time, actually giving a damn. And I think the people that want to do this, they are giving a damn. We just need to find more people of it that want to give a damn.
And I've always said this, Lucas, that I am all for the players getting every single cent that they can to do what they do. I think the players deserve that money. With that being said, I think the players also need to realize where we're at as far as a league goes. And we just came real close to losing about 75 jobs out of this league. And I think they need to open their eyes and just kind of go, maybe you're one of the upper echelon players in the league and you're not concerned if a team folds because you're going to land somewhere else. But 75 jobs in this league almost went bye-bye. Thankfully,
that's scary when you think about that. That's scary.
Yeah. Happy day. I don't want to kind of piss on the parade here because it's a great day in the National Lacrosse League. The Rochester Knighthawks are staying put. They have fantastic ownership now in Seneca Nation. That's great, but there's still a couple more teams that are in trouble here, and we came real close to losing 2, maybe even 3, and that's a lot of jobs. So, again, get what you can get. You deserve it, but also realize there is some issues here. And, if you push the envelope a little too far, there's a faction of owners here in this league that are just ready to shut it down.
That wouldn't be ideal at all. And if that unfortunately does occur, it would be sad, but I don't think that's the answer. People want to stay around. They want to be able to stay involved. So at the end of the day, you just can't be having that. You can't be losing jobs, can't be shutting down franchises. There needs to be something going on in the works. And I think there are people that are doing that. But like I said in my last comment, we just need more people to care.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if a certain team, like if they shut down for a year, certain teams aren't coming back the following year. That is just a hard reality that everybody needs to kind of face and be real with. It's just the way it is. So there you go. This is a joyous day. Like I feel bad that we're kind of going the other way on it a little bit. Like, it's a great day for the Rochester Knighthawks, a great day for the National Lacrosse League, a great day for Seneca Nation. We got to get a CBA done here, and we got to get it done quick because the season is not far off in the distance.
Yeah, it is. They got one side of the coin done. Now they need to get the other. Personally, I think we're close, but we'll see what happens coming down from the league and what announcements they make.
All right, let's keep it rolling here, Lucas. Let's get right into it. It's report card day.
Today is report card day. Today is report card day. It's report card day.
I take out my report card. Throw some D's on that. I take out my report card.
Report cards. Report cards brought to you by the Western Lacrosse Association. WALacrosse.com. That's your home for all things Western Lacrosse Association. Stats, scores, highlights, news, transactions. WLATV is on there as well. All the awards still rolling out. Marcus Clarich, the WLA MVP. Drew Belgrave, the Defensive Player of the Year. Christian Del Bianco, the Goaltender of the Year. I'm not sure what's left or what we haven't mentioned, but that's a good reason for you, the listener, the classmate, just to go to WLAlacrosse.com and check out all the award winners. It is Tuesday, August the 5th, so they're going to play Game 3 of Bellies and Shamrocks tonight, and then Game 3 of Adnax and Berards will go today when you listen to this podcast on Wednesday. Best of 5, it's coming down to it here for the WLA Finals. So go to WLA Lacrosse, but we're talking report cards here, Lucas, and as always, you go first. What's your report card this week?
I'm going to stay here in my hometown of Brooklyn, Ontario, and I'm going to go to the Major Series lacrosse team of Brooklyn. It's a lacrosse club. They did it, Jake. They looked for win 1 against Peterborough in the playoffs, and they got it done last night. Brooklyn Lacrosse Club knocked off the Peterborough Lakers at the Peterborough Memorial Center. They did it on the road nonetheless with a final score of 7-4. This is A+ from the team. Management, Gavin Prout, Joel Johnston, the rest of the players. Steve Orleman started in net. And man, this team was looking for win number 1 and they were able to get it. So A+ to BLC. Congratulations to all my boys on that team.
One win is all they got, but it was a good win nonetheless there for Brooklyn. And we'll see what happens the rest of that series. We'll touch on that a little more. I got a few report cards here. I'm not really sure which one to pick, so maybe I'll just kind of touch on them all. So what was the score last night? 7-4?
Yeah, it was a low-scoring game.
Again, this brings me back to wooden goal sticks and goalies. And for anybody that knows me, I deeply respect the history of lacrosse, the indigenous roots of lacrosse, the tradition as well. But, you know, we've gotten to a point in the NLL and in summer ball, as far as senior A goes and junior A goes, there's no more wooden player sticks. And we're doing okay without them. I think it's time. I think it's past time that goalies no longer use wooden goal sticks in box lacrosse. I know that's going to upset some people here, and I get it. Trust me, I do. But with that being said, I think there's other ways we can honor the Indigenous without having a massive wooden goal stick parked between a goalie's legs, because honestly, nobody wants to watch a 7-4 game. Lacrosse is about speed and skill and goals, and you know, goalies
Intensity.
won't like this. Yeah, I mean, goalies won't like this, but I don't care. Like it's time, guys. It's time to get rid of the wooden goal stick. And the biggest reason being, when you get drafted out of junior lacrosse, and this isn't the first time we've talked about this on the podcast, a young goaltender, say Thomas Kaisick, let's just say, that's going from junior lacrosse, jumping into the National Lacrosse League, and all of a sudden you take that Woody away from him, you give him a little spoon, you give him a bigger net, you give him the best shooters on the planet, and you stick him between the pipes and say, good luck, kid. The jump from junior to the National Lacrosse League and even up to senior, it's the hardest thing to do in our sport. Goalie is the hardest position to play in our sport, and when you try and ask a kid to take away his Woody, give him a bigger net, better shooters, it's almost an impossible jump to make. And I think if the playing field was level for everybody, that transition would be so much easier. And again, I respect the tradition and the history of the play the Haudenosaunee song before every game. Get rid of old Canada, as far as I'm concerned. Just play that song if you don't have time to play both songs before a game, if you want to do it that way. I just think there's other ways we can still continue to honor the land acknowledgements before games work too. There's ways to do this but it's time for the wooden goal stick to go away. U20s, they leave for China, or where is it? Korea, Wednesday, today. So take the Whippy Warriors, for example, who will lose how many, Lucas? I know they're losing Little John, who is their best player, I think the second leading scorer in the entire league. A couple other key players on that Warriors team. I know the Shamrocks are going to lose their starting goaltender.
Warriors are losing 3 total.
Yeah, so it's a real tough situation where teams are fighting to get into the Minto Cup, and then all of a sudden you're going to yank 2 or 3 players off the roster that are going to play for the U20s, and I get it. That's their decision, and they had to make it. Like, I don't think Coquitlam's losing anybody. I don't think Orangeville's losing anybody. I don't know about St. Catharines or the Mounties or the Raiders, but for those 2 teams, like, as soon as you take your starting goaltender out of your lineup in a BC final against Coquitlam, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, that is. That's more than gut-wrenching.
And good on them for, representing the country and following their dreams. And they had a hard decision to make. I understand that, but like, just having to make that decision alone at that age on what do you do? Do you stay with your team? Like, do you want to try and go win a Minto, or do you want to go put on the Maple Leaf and try and win a U20 championship, see another part of the world? You're putting these kids in a real bad position. And for folks that don't know, like, I believe that St. Catharines originally altered the start date of the Minto Cup to accommodate World Lacrosse, who then turned around like 2 weeks later and switched the date again. And then St. Catharines couldn't switch back their dates. Like, they were locked in with the building and the availability and all the rest of it. World Lacrosse doing what they need to do to, make their tournament go off. They're not worried about a Minto Cup. They're just not. But this is a real tough spot to put St. Catharines and Lacrosse Canada and all the rest of it in, where now these kids have to make this decision. This shouldn't even be an issue, but it is.
Yeah, and it's tough. It is. You are asking, I don't want to use the word kids or that term, but you're asking young men to decide which is more important to you. Winning a Founders Cup, a Minto Cup, even just your provincial championship, or go have the opportunity to play at a world event. Like, when you look at it in comparison, it may be a hard choice, but at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, that player is going to choose to go represent their country because they may never get that opportunity again, but they may never get it in their home country either. So it's a double-edged sword. But at the end of the day, from my position,
it never should have happened.
No, it never should have happened to begin in the first place. It shouldn't have. And I've already commented on this topic before, so I'm going to try and veer away from it and say this. From my position, it's always been this. If you're a player that is capable of representing your nation or your country, if you're given that opportunity, you do it. Yes, it's hard to leave behind home, family, the team you currently play for, whatever title they're chasing. Yes, it's hard, but it's not every day that you get the call or you get the invite saying, yeah, we want you to play for Team Canada, Team USA, Haudenosaunee, England, Israel, Ireland, etc. It's not every day you get that call. So I've always been a firm believer in that. You got that opportunity, you take it.
Yeah, I'm not condemning anybody for making a decision one way or another. It's an impossible spot to be in. And there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's just a really unfortunate circumstance, the way it kind of played out with World Lacrosse and the Minto Cup and all the rest of it. So, good luck to all the boys that are going to go back there and compete for Canada. I hope you win, and I hope you can sleep well knowing with the decision that you made, because, there's no turning back now at this point for the guys that have chosen to go. The last thing I want to touch on here in report cards is something I came across my social media feed. And Lucas, you probably don't even want to comment on this because I don't know if you referee this age group or not, but the old Instagram account there in Lax Tilly Men, I think it's called, posted up something today between Nepean and Kahnawake U17. I don't know if you saw this or not, Lucas, but just a nasty line brawl that involved goaltenders. It involved a player kicking somebody. It involved parents fighting in the stands. And my comment on it was this is just completely pathetic all around. I don't know what transpired prior to the brawl breaking out. Apparently a guy got high sticked over the head, like chopped over the head, and that's what kind of kicked things off. And I use the word kick, not on purpose. But then you see a kid, and I don't care what has happened prior to that. You don't kick. Never, ever do you kick somebody. I mean, they're on the ground, 2-on-1, and this kid comes in with a soccer-style kick and then a punch to the back of the head while he's already engaged with two other guys. Absolutely gutless, cowardly, and sickening to see that on the floor. And then parents going at it in the crowd. Guys, clean it up. This is U17 lacrosse. Are you kidding me with this? And it just makes me sick because this is what we continuously see get posted online. I have absolutely no problem. And I actually like it when two guys want to have a go and do it the right way. Step back, take off your helmet and gloves, and settle things on the floor, and then be done with it. But when you start getting into shit like this is where I have a real problem with how guys are conducting themselves. A guy kicked the guy in the head in U17. Like, what is it? What are we doing? Again, Lucas, I'm not even going to ask you to comment on it. I think that's an absolute joke. And again, I don't care what happened before that. If there is no place for kicking somebody on a lacrosse floor, that's disgusting. And that's all I got to say on that. Let's continue on here in period number 1, and let's get to our Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week right now. We're going to the factory.
Big save, Chiliano. Rebound call, Crime Stoppers. Vince just scored a goalie goal. Jameson somehow comes up with the stop. Larceny.
And here's Shane Jackson off the bench. And there's Christian Del Bianco with a stick side save. The Goalie Factory is, man, I got to calm down after that, Lucas. Every now and then I just get a little too wound up. I think I'm still sweating coming down from the hill here, Lucas. And I'm just running hot today for some reason. But the Goalie Factory is located out there in Langley, developing the next generation of lacrosse goalies in the Lower Mainland. Expert coaches and trainers focusing on building strength, agility, positioning, game-specific skills to empower athletes to get better at the sport of box lacrosse and goaltending in particular. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced goalie aiming to take your game to the next level, they'll help you build your confidence and achieve your goals. Give them a follow on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram at GoalieFactory_today, and you'll find all their information there to get in touch with the good people at the Goalie Factory. This week's Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week. We're throwing it back here. You're going to recognize this name, I'm sure, as former NLL goaltender, former WA goaltender, now playing for the Victoria Jokers in Senior C lacrosse. But tell me if you have any lasting memories of Matt Roik, who I had no idea was still playing lacrosse here for the Victoria Senior C Jokers, who apparently are like on a 14-game win streak. I think they won their division. Here, I got it in front of me here. Been back in action for the last 2 seasons. Gate guy, defender. He's been doing it all for the Jokers, with suited up as the goaltender. 9-team league here. 18-2-1 for the Jokers. 14-game win streak. 5-0 in the playoffs. And eventually beat out the Cowichan Thunder in 2 games to claim the title. I had no idea about this. The Jokers established back in 1940, but regardless of that, Matt Roik, this week's Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week.
Talk about a blast from the past. That's a old-timer name if I've ever heard one. Way to go, Matt. Seems like you're tearing it up out there.
Victoria,
the Victoria Jokers. My bad, Matt. But hey, we're not joking. You came on the podcast. Way to go. Yeah, no, been a while since I've heard that name, that's for sure.
Man, did he have a temper, did Matt Roik. Was never shy to venture out of the crease and get involved with things that may be going on off in the corner or what have you. I actually might have sniped a couple goals on Roiker back in my WLA days. I know I got at least one in Victoria that I remember vividly, but didn't get too many more than that. But I know I got at least one on Matt Roik. But now a member of the Senior C Jokers, they're Senior C champions over there in Victoria as well. And Rycor you're going to put in a little work over at the Goalie Factory. You're this week's Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week. Almost done here in period number 1. Time for a Rycor Standout Players of the Week.
I'm a hard-working man.
Now I'm in a better mood just after hearing that song right there. Hardworking man, Brooks and Dunn, Rycor Construction, Standout Players of the Week, brought to you by, of course, Rycor Construction at rycorconstruction.ca, at Rycor Construction Inc. on their social media. Interior, exterior, renovations, kitchens, bathrooms, full home, renos, additions, flooring, you name it, they do it. Tons of experience, quality craftsmanship, exceptional client experience. They do it all. They make it stand out at Rycor Construction, rycorconstruction.ca to get in touch with the good folks. And like I said, I was up there at the Junior Adnac game the other night, and there he was, Ryan Mills, wearing his Lax Class t-shirt. I happened to be wearing mine as well, and he's like, hey, nice shirt. And I look over, it's Ryan wearing the exact same shirt as I was. A little awkward, but still, I'm all about it. Good to see him supporting the podcast out and about in Coquitlam. What a game there. We didn't even talk about what's happened in the Canadian Summer Lacrosse League, so we're going to have to do that after Rycor Construction Standout Players of the Week here, Lucas. We'll do that, as I'm just on fire today for some reason. But give me your Standout Player of the Week this week.
I'm not choosing a player this week. I'm choosing a league. I have to give full credit for the 20th anniversary of the Ontario Lacrosse Festival. The amount of work and time that members and volunteers and staff of the Ontario Lacrosse Association have put in to make this festival a success thus far. As the day we record on Tuesday, August 5th, we're right in the middle of it. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor to be a part of it for so many years, and to see what they have done this year for the 20th anniversary has been amazing. Kids are loving it. Players are. Coaches, parents, spectators, grandparents that know nothing about lacrosse are out there watching their little grandson or granddaughter run around, and to see so many smiling and happy faces in and around Iroquois Park Sports Complex and the other arenas that the festival uses is amazing. So hats off to everybody at the OLA for the show that you've put on thus far, and I know you're going to continue to do great things for the rest of the festival for the remainder of the 5 days. And it's, if you've fans, classmates, if you've never made it out here to Ontario to experience the festival, put it on your lacrosse bucket list. It's truly a pleasure. It's a joy. Tons of great lacrosse, but so many other memories that you're going to make here. Get to see in my backyard every single year.
The barn was packed last night for that junior game as well, and I imagine a lot of holdovers from the festival as well. And that thing it's going again this week, right? Like it's like a 2-week event.
10 or 11 days about that.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. I'll be back there. Fortunately, it'll be over by the time that the President's Cup gets going. But I'll be at the Prezi in Whitby. I've never been to Whitby. I'm looking forward to calling a couple games out of there, seeing you in person, Lucas. So we'll look forward to that. Nice one. Shout out to the OLA and the Ontario Lacrosse Festival. I like it. Obviously, I got to give my standout player of the week this week I'm going to give it to a couple of people because why not? I gave out multiple report cards. I'll do the same thing here for our players of the week. To Brett Frood, the entire Board of Governors, to Seneca Nation, everybody stood out for me this week, getting this deal done, pushing this thing across the finish line and keeping the Rochester Knighthawks in Rochester. So well done to, like I said, to Brett, to the board, to the Seneca Nation. You all stood out for me this week. Congratulations to everybody involved with that deal. But to focus on a player here, I'm going to go, like I said, I don't get a chance to just go sit down and watch a game as a fan very often, but I did that this past weekend. And I've been watching this guy kind of on the come up for a number of years now. I don't know what made me focus in on him this week, but I'm going to go with Coquitlam Junior Adnac and Ben Coghill, who is their face-off man. He plays on the short man. He is just steady Eddie back there. Like, doesn't do anything flashy or crazy out there where you're like, holy shit, like, but he just gets the job done shift after shift, game after game. He came back last year after a real bad knee injury. He was wearing a brace and was kind of running a little weird, but the brace is off now. Ben's getting back to full health. His dad also the video coach for Vancouver as well, and I've gotten to know Grant pretty well as over the last couple of years. And Ben is just he's got a bright future ahead of this kid, man. I'm telling you right now, he is a key component to that team's success in a variety of different ways. And obviously, while I'm watching this game, for some reason, Ben Coghill stood out for me. So Ben Coghill is getting my standout player of the week this week.
Are we hearing the next Jake Withers potentially? Takes face-offs, plays short man defense?
Yeah.
Maybe we are.
I mean, I'm not ready to put him in that category quite yet, but he's got the potential. Like, I'm not sure when his draft year is. I think he's still got another year of school, but one day he will be in the National Lacrosse League. I can almost guarantee you of that.
In order to win games, you got to win draws, and it sounds like, Ben, you're doing that for the Adnax. Congratulations. Welcome to the construction site. I was going to say factory for a second. What the heck am I saying?
Yeah, he can't stop any balls. Well, maybe he can, but he's this week's Rycor Standout Player of the Week, along with everybody involved with the National Lacrosse League and to the Ontario Lacrosse Festival as well. Bit of a offbeat Rycor Standout Players of the Week this week. We're all over the place. That's okay. And with all that being said, Lucas, we haven't even talked about all the playoff series and everything else that's going on over the course of the last week. So we need to do that, and let's go around the loops of summer lacrosse right now. And let's begin with the Rocky Mountain Junior Lacrosse League. Listen, once in a while, as a broadcaster, things come out of your mouth that you just have to walk back on. You have to wish you could take it back. And over the last 3 weeks, I've been saying that the Raiders Lacrosse Club look to be the best team in Alberta far and away and should be the team that makes it to the Minto Cup. Now, they still might, but I do have to take back the fact that they are not clearly and far and away the best team in Alberta, because the Mountaineers of Calgary, led by Cody Hawkins and company, have a 3-1 series lead over the Raiders Lacrosse Club and are now just one win away from being back in the Minto Cup. I did not see this coming, but good on the Mounties. They are playing some good lacrosse right now, and they got the Raiders on the ropes.
They knew they were a bit of an underdog coming to this series, but they didn't let that stop them. They went out there, showed what they can do, and they've now got the Raiders on the brink of elimination.
Yeah, I mean, now the Raiders got to win 3 out of 4. I'm not so sure they can do that against the Mountaineers. I mean, they've all been kind of close, tight games for the most part, and I would expect nothing less. And, I don't know if they're going to close it out here in 5. I kind of feel like they won't, but I think the Mounties, I don't think they're losing 3 out of 4. Good chance we see the Mountaineers in the Minto Cup. We shall see. But I also said, I underestimated Victoria. I'll just come out and say it. I didn't think Victoria was going to have a sniff in this series, but they win game 1, 12-11. Coquitlam goes to Victoria and evens the series up at a 1 apiece with an 11-9 victory, but still a very tight game. And then in game 3, back home, 8-7 Coquitlam wins. So they're up 2-1 here. Man, they had to do it the hard way in game number 3. I want to say tied 5-5, something like that, 6-6. I want 5-5 maybe. And then I don't know the guy's name, but he's been running around for Victoria a little bit. He's cross-checked a couple of guys in the head, including Cody Milosky and Brian Colsey, a couple of 5-minute majors for this guy. And finally, Logan Mellish had enough and went right at him and landed an uppie on the beak of whoever I don't even know the guy's name. Doesn't matter. Point being, Mellish ends up taking 10 minutes in penalty time. So in a tie game in the third period, Coquitlam with 10 minutes left is essentially shorthanded for the rest of the game. Victoria would take a penalty to even things up at 4 apiece. And then Coquitlam scored a couple of goals during that 4-on-4 play to go up a couple. Victoria would score a couple to get within 1, and then just a mad scramble at the end of that game, 6-on-5. Jack Kask making stop after stop. Ty Banks with a big shot block at the end of that game. And Coquitlam hangs on, finishing that game down a man for 10 straight minutes. But they get game 3, 8-7, as they will play, I think they're playing tonight. In fact, game number 4, game 5 back in Coquitlam on Thursday. But Coquitlam up 2-1 right now. But like I said, Victoria going to lose their starting goaltender after tonight. And I don't know how any team recovers from losing their starting goaltender in a final playoff series.
I don't know what that speaks more to. The fact that Coquitlam was able to preserve a lead for over 10 minutes, which is a good thing, or the flip side. And I'm worried about that Shamrocks offense not being able to score with the amount of power play opportunity.
Well, they scored
that they
2 power play goals.
They did. Okay.
Yeah, but Coquitlam scored twice on the 4-on-4. They were up a goal. They scored twice on the 4-on-4 play to go up 3, and then Vic cut it to 1 with, I don't know, like 5 minutes left in the game, and threw the kitchen sink, everything at the Adnax, but just couldn't get that game-tying goal. But 10 straight minutes of power play. But I will say, Victoria is a lot better than I thought they would be. They're a lot more competitive than I thought they would be. And they're giving the Adnax everything they can handle. But like I also said, you take your starting goaltender away, I don't like your chances.
No, that's tough. Everybody knows goalie is the backbone of your defense. When he goes down,
you take Jack Kask out of Coquitlam's lineup, they're not winning.
No, they're not. It doesn't matter how good their offense is. Doesn't matter how strong and how skilled their defense is. If you don't have a reliable, not even just a solid or a star-studded or a top tier, you just need a reliable goaltender between the pipes. And if you don't have that, you don't even have a shot at winning the game, let alone the series.
2-1 Peterborough leads Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. 1-0 Six Nations leads Owen Sound. I believe they're going again tonight. Again, we're recording on Tuesday. By the time the pod comes out, there's going to be more games that have been played, just so everybody's aware of that. So we're a little bit behind here. But Bellies and Shamrocks play game 3 tonight. Adnax are up 2-0 on the Burrards. That game 3 goes tonight, Wednesday. It is down to Kanawage and Elora in the Ontario Junior B finals. Coquitlam is off to the Founders Cup for the BC League. Go check out all that. All the teams are listed there on their social media. What else am I missing? We'll talk about the President's Cup a little bit later with Matt, so we don't need to cover that.
We'll do the same for the Ontario Junior A finals when we talk to Matt and Whitby and Orangeville.
So we'll get you updated on all that. And I think this has been a long, extended period, number 1 here, Lucas. So I believe Matty Carrick is waiting in the green room right now. Let's talk Ontario Junior Finals. Let's talk some MSL. Let's talk a little Prezi with the lacrosse boss. Matt Carrick joins us next here on Lacrosse Culture Daily Podcast Network.
This is Jackson Webster, and you're listening to Lax Class.
Welcome back to Lax Class. We're into the second period of action here on episode 350. Halfway to 400 here, and with this season at least, and hopefully more to come, Edge Dynamics. Edge Dynamics Digital is their social media. You can check out all the stuff that they're doing, but I can tell you this, at Edge Dynamics, they understand that every brand has its own distinct story and potential. Their mission: to help you unlock that potential by crafting marketing strategies that resonate with your target audience and drive measurable results. They pride themselves on the ability to merge creativity and data-driven insights, creating campaigns that are not only visually compelling, but also strategically sound. Sharpen your brand on a global level by visiting edgedynamics.ca. This guy's been sharpening his brand for quite some time, I would say. I don't know how many years you've been doing it now, Matty Carrick, but Lacrosse Boss is now on the podcast. Welcome to Lax Class, Matt. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Long time, first time, as they say. First game I did was 2012, a CLAX triple header. So we did the third game out of 3 in the same day. Been going ever since, I guess.
CLAX. Man, that is Just going. I forgot all about CLAX.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, and Paul St. John let us try things and make mistakes, and it was really good. Some good memories there. The 2 years that he had it, and then bought after, and 2 more years, and weird change box rules, and lots of shots, lots of goals. Yeah, lots of fun too.
Is that essentially what turned into the ALL? Is that what CLAX, or is that completely different?
So Paul says it's completely different. Different owners, different rules, different kind of business model as well. But yeah, a lot of the same guys play in the same league, and definitely a lot of names, even still to this day, that I recognize from those early days.
Matt, I gotta ask you, how'd you come up with Lacrosse Boss?
I would love to take credit for that, but I think I was playing an online game somewhere, and somebody had that, and I said, "That's awesome! I need to get it." And Twitter had just started. I had signed up for Twitter and was able to claim Lacrosse Boss there and pretty much everywhere else. I only saw it that one time. I probably know who it was, but ever since then, that's sort of become my moniker. A few years ago, I did think of changing it away, and
Oh, don't you dare.
well, because it is lacrosse specific. And the more hockey I got into, people said that doesn't really fit, or trying to increase my brand. And that was the answer that I got, Jake, was everyone said, like, absolutely not. This is who you are now. So this is who I am, I guess.
That's funny because when I first signed up on Twitter, my Twitter handle was PXP for Lax.
Yes.
And then as I started doing, well, first it was, I think, Jake Elliott too. And then I was like, yeah, that's kind of lame. I don't want to. So then I changed it to PXP for Lax, and I kind of had everything. And then I started doing other and more sports, and I was like, well, I can't really, like, I got to. So then I changed it to PXP for sports. But Lacrosse Boss is too good to switch away from. So just keep it right there, man.
Okay. I still have that on whatever they call Twitter these days, but Instagram I go by Mic'd Up Matt, which would have been my next what I would have swapped to, but yeah, we're keeping it right where it is.
Also solid. Okay, so 2012, you call your first game. How did you get into the field of broadcasting in general? Like, did you go to school anywhere, or is it just something you wanted to try and picked up a mic? And how'd you get into it?
I just kind of stumbled into it. It's a bit of a story. So the reason I was at the CLAX triple header was I was in a gap year from Sheridan College where I was taking computer science, actually. And the gap year was because I was waiting for the last two classes that I failed the first time to come back around. I just spent my time watching a lot of sports. I had a buddy who lived close, and we'd sit in each other's basement and we'd watch, pardon the interruption, Around the Horn. We'd watch whatever games were on that night and have our own opinions. And I started writing those opinions on my own blog. And Marissa and Jemmy actually found me on social media, said she was looking for a Toronto writer for In Lacrosse We Trust.
That's funny, Matt, not to interrupt you, but Marissa, I think that was how I started podcasting. It was the very first, like, I can't even remember what it was called, but that was like the first introduction I had to, like, kind of online podcasting. Mm-hmm. That was a long time ago, man.
Thanks for mentioning that. Made me feel old, but because I was writing about lacrosse, CLAX had started. There was something between that site and the Toronto Rock where I was supposed to get a media pass and didn't. And I'm still not sure what the exchange was between the two to this day, but it worked out well for me because I sort of became CLAX guy. And, she wanted to do some live games along with that podcast network. So I did. Sarah Jean Marr and I had Remember the Raiders, all about Ontario lacrosse podcast. We ran around. We did radio CLAX games. Gary Morrison was downstairs filming for the league. And he says, hey, if I give you a mic, I can hook it up to my camera and we'll do highlights. I think it was March break one year. There was a big game and there was a scrum at the end and they were promoting, it'll be back in Brampton, these two teams. And they said, man, we got to figure out a way to stream it. So Rogers was there and the guy in their truck was Alex Frazow, who, I can help you do that. And that was that Saturday. We did a doubleheader and that was game number one in the history of JVI and a bunch of us. And
no formal training then, just kind of jumped into it and found your way.
Yeah, not at that time, but I have since gone back to school. I have my diploma in radio and TV sports broadcasting from the College of Sports Media. So I did that just coming out of COVID, graduated in 2023. So if anybody out there's hiring someone for real, free agent coming up here in a couple weeks at the end of the OJ season. So
no hockey on the horizon, because I know you've done a ton of that, during the wintertime and stuff as well.
Yeah, no, I'll be back with the the Mississauga Chargers, some changes down in Port Credit coming up this year that we're excited about with new owners, new coach, different things down there. And then Milton Menace made it all the way to the league finals last year. We got called for a 5-on-3 in overtime, of game number 6. And none of us are over it yet. They scored 5-on-3, Trenton did, to win the league championship in our barn, by the way. So, we're ready. We're ready for unfinished business this season, let me tell you.
Matt, I got to ask you, when it comes to lacrosse, I mean, you've been calling Junior A games for a couple of years now since JVI's gotten the contract. So I got to ask you, which barn is the best that you've called a game in?
Oh, boy. I guess all depends what you qualify as the best. Like best crowd, best press box, best environment, best air conditioning is the best.
Yeah, like for me out here in the West, Matty, like Langley Event Center, easily the best broadcast booth in the league. Comfy, wide open, wicked view, air conditioning. Yep. But, give me Queen's Park on a hot August night with a packed barn. Like, there's nothing better than that. So there's a lot of factors that go in.
I'm about 10 minutes from Brampton Memorial, which has a lot of history tied up in that barn. And especially for me, got my first Minto Cup there. My call of the Minto in 2017, Patty and I. So that barn holds a special place for me. Tony Rose is always up there, especially packed last year. Game 7 was absolute madness.
I gotta stop you again, Matt.
Yeah,
where do you even set up in the Bunny Barn? Because I know that arena, like I've been in there.
Yep.
The benches are essentially on one side of the arena, and there's like nothing behind them except, I think, locker rooms. And then it's just a one-sided of stands. So do you like block off, do you corridor off a section in the crowd there? Like, how does that work?
We're actually, as the referees come off the floor, there's a little tunnel that goes into the minor, back into pad B and into the refs room. And on top of that, there's just like a little pad up there that they kind of call their press box. So there's space basically for one camera, which we'll set up our table, and our director will stand there. I stand just off to the side in the staircase, and then Gary's on the other side of the post with the camera. And if there's two of us, we just we get real friendly, let me tell you.
Standing in a staircase. That's something. Well, speaking of Orangeville, they're in the Ontario Junior A final. They're taking on Whitby. We saw Whitby win last night. We saw Orangeville win game 1 in overtime. And for these Whitby Warriors, man, like the schedule that they have had over the course of the last 2 weeks has been absolutely hellacious. Like I think almost unfair, if I can use that word, with how many games they have had to play in the amount of days they've had to play them. But for this group to be tied up at 1 and in the Ontario final has been impressive as all heck here, and especially taking on the Northmen, who just seem to be there every year. So handicap this thing, man. Now down to a best of 5 here to go to the Minto Cup. Which way you leaning?
Someone asked me that yesterday too, and I said, how can you not lean Orangeville's way for all the reasons you just said? But then how can you not lean Whitby's way for all the reasons you just said? And let me tell you, when that overtime goal went in game number 1, 3 nights, they're already banged up, stuck with Orangeville. Like, I was expecting that to be over in the first period. I'm not gonna lie. And the way that overtime goal went in, like
sickening.
Yeah, no, that was actually the word that I used yesterday before the game, talking to some people, that just heartbreaking for Whitby. But they've fought so hard through the first 2 rounds. Like, they were double elimination game against St. Catharines, had to play back-to-back nights. Double elimination game against Toronto, had to play back-to-back days. Then they go 3 straight into it. Like, there's so much fight and there's so much belief in that team that it's hard for me to bet against them. But then, I mean, Orangeville's looking on the other side of them, where they're just, like you said, there every year and so incredibly well coached and a well-oiled machine. Liam Matthews didn't play last night, and that is an injury. I don't know how serious, but the fact that, here's what I will say as a commentator.
I haven't heard an answer yet, Carrick.
Well, he's going to be the key in this series. I think if he's going, that offense for Orangeville is going to go, and they'll be a lot better than they were last night. But if he's going to be out long term, it's going to be hard for Orangeville, because they look like a much different team. The less that teams tend to tell you, the more serious the injury is, what I've learned over the years. Whereas if they're, oh yeah, he'll be back tomorrow, or he could go, but he's sitting out. And I didn't hear those things yesterday, so we'll see with Liam Matthews.
Well, and the other thing is, and we kind of talked about it off the top, Matt, is that Whitby's going to lose some key players that are heading back to play with Team Canada as well. Like they're going to lose some real good players off their roster, which it'll play a role certainly.
Yeah, no doubt. There's been guys though who have kind of stepped in and out of that roster with injuries and so on. Like Matthew Ford has been incredibly impressive throughout the playoff run. Max Weatherup, I've talked about him on the broadcast. The rookie who's done. He reminds me of a young Lucas Littlejohn. He really does in his first year. The fact like he can come out either door, transition, just gritty. Their back end defense is really where their heart and soul lies, and not really losing anybody back there. But yeah, you're right. It'll be interesting to see what happens then. And I think if you're Whitby, you're hoping for a short series so you don't have to deal with that, but we'll see.
And just the last thing that I'll mention there is that, with Whitby playing St. Catharines in that first round, and St. Catharines loses that series in 5 games, but they're in the Minto Cup. Yep. They're going to be very well rested. And you would have thought, like, okay, they lost in the first round, and that kind of looks a little bit bad, right? Like, oh, a Minto Cup host, and you're out in the first round. But the fact that they went 5 games with Whitby, and that really could have gone either way, that 5-game series loss not really looking so bad anymore. Like, and now I think it might even be an advantage for St. Kitty to have all that rest that they've had, as long as they can stay sharp mentally and physically going into the Minto Cup.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. They're pre and post trade deadline, a much different team. They obviously made the big trade with Chuck Rawson, Cody Innes, Kyle McMillan from Burlington, all graduates. Carter Blondin, I think, one that kind of sneaks under the radar. I thought he was the top defender who was graduating.
Lucas Nielsen out of New West too, right?
Yeah. That series for me came down to Ty Wilson. He was unbelievable start to finish in the series. And the goaltending for St. Catharines was a question mark for me going into the series, and he took the question mark away. But now I'm concerned that the layoff, like, because they were going so many days in a row, he can just keep throwing the pads on and keep in the groove. So that first Minto game will be very interesting to see how he plays.
It's really unprecedented, right? Like, we have never really seen this scenario at the Minto where there's been a designated host, and maybe not so much that, but the fact that they got knocked out in the first round, and they're going to have a good 2.5-3 weeks off before they play another competitive game.
Right. Rust versus rest thing that we sort of kind of came up in the Whitby-Toronto series. Like, Whitby had to go right back at it after the emotional win and going back-to-back days in St. Catharines, and blew out Toronto 10-3, right? Like, I think Beaches were expecting a tired team and banged up team, and shocked both teams that I talked to, shocked me as a commentator and an analyst really in that first game. So we'll see. If I know Steve Toll as well as I think I do, he'll have the team ready to go, and he'll be working them hard over these few weeks, making sure that they're ready.
Well, you mentioned goaltending in the Whitby Kit series, Matt, so I got to ask you about the Ontario finals. If you were a betting man, which I don't know if you are, but if you were, when you look at these two teams between Zach Constantinopoulos and Tyden Redlick, who would you put your money on?
Yeah, I think that's a different answer than before the playoffs. I would have gone Evan Constantopoulos for sure. I'm not a betting man. I just play one on TV, but Tyden Redlick has had an unbelievable playoff run as well, that overtime notwithstanding. But Constantopoulos, I mean, they're both coming off NLL seasons, which is interesting for junior A goaltenders to come back in after their first year facing NLL shots for 6 months or whatever. So he's been vulnerable, especially early on. Constantopoulos but has really settled in and just reminds me of typical Orangeville goaltending. Just nice and steady in the net, not a lot of movement, not a lot of wasted energy, and stands in and just makes good saves. But Tyden Redlick has really saved and won some games for Whitby throughout this playoff run too. So a little bit of an edge to Constantopoulos coming in, but Redlick has definitely closed the distance for me.
Constantopoulos. I've been practicing. I've been struggling a little bit. It took me a while to get O'Riglieri down. Now I got to get Constantopoulos down.
That's between you and Rosie, man. I can't help you there.
Yeah, reminiscent of a young Jimmy Rankin, I would say, back from my days. You probably don't remember old Jim Rankin back in a Hornheads uniform, but that's okay. Let's go to senior lacrosse, because you also call the Oakville Rock games with Shanny, and I know not the best season there for Oakville, and that was probably to be expected, but they're down to the Final Four now, and Six Nations up on Owen Sound, and Brooklyn and Peterborough now, what is it, 2-1, 1-1? What's going on there, and who do you like? 2-1 for the Borough. So it looks like we're on another kind of collision course here for another round of Lakers and Chiefs in the MSL final. I don't know what it's been, man, like 15 years in a row, something like that.
Yeah, it seems like that, but I would say that this is probably the closest we've been to not having that, just with what Brooklyn's done this year and the way their roster's assembled. This Peterborough team, for those who aren't in Ontario or haven't followed, when I grew up, they were John Tavares was coming in, and John Grant and Sean Evans and a whole bunch of other Evans, and like they were the all-star team of all-stars rolling through. No disrespect to the NLL talent that they've got on their team, but it's still not that top level. Like the last Oakville game we called was Six Nations, and like Dane Smith, Lyle Thompson, Shane Jackson. We were counting all the MVP awards and all the championships that were on there. So by all accounts, they should get past Owen Sound for sure. My eyes definitely on that Peterborough Brooklyn series, and it should be going. Like I think everyone's expecting, speaking of Nick Rose, Peterborough to get through and have that showdown again, but not for me, not the historical Lakers team that we're used to seeing dominating everybody rolling through. And they had tough games against teams like Brampton. I know Oakville beat them in Peterborough for the second straight year this year. Not to dump on the Lakers too much, but they're just not the team that I'm used to seeing anyways. And Brooklyn has taken strides to further themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised to see what some would call an upset in that series. But on the other side, I think it's definitely going to be the Chiefs.
So if Peterborough and Nations do face off in the MSL final, Matt, again, if you are a betting man, which team heads out west?
Yeah, it's hard not to go with Six Nations for all the reasons I just said, right? Like the talent they've got on their team. When we did a game last year, I was talking to Rich Kilgore, and he said the guys that they've got so many guys on the team that they put together. Guys don't want to sit out. Like if they're working or if they're sick or want to go on vacation, they don't want to miss games because the guy coming in. Yeah, no, exactly. Like the guys who are sitting out are just as good as those other guys. So I know when Peterborough comes to town to face Oakville, it's anybody's guess who's coming with them. It might be a bunch of junior A call-ups or whatever, because those guys are safe, right? The NLL guys on the Lakers side of things, just to compare them again. So Dewey Jacobs has put together an absolute wagon out there in Six Nations, and I think it's going to be theirs to lose yet again.
I mean, you're talking like Larson Sundown is probably their fourth or fifth lefty on that team. He's probably a one or two on every other team in the league. Honestly, when you look at that roster, I think they win the NLL championship if they trot those guys out there as a unit. Like, it is absolutely insane.
Yeah. And, we had to talk about that as a production crew. The week before, Oakville lost to Owen Sound, and that knocked them out of the playoffs. We said, like, how do we market this game coming up next week? Like, we could talk about the all-star team that's coming in, but we're doing it for local TV, right? And how do we give this an Oakville angle? So if the year was all about development and it was all about the young kids coming up on the Oakville side of things, this is the measuring stick. This is the pinnacle of as good Ontario lacrosse as you can get. Six Nations coming in. It was going to be a good opportunity for those kids to see exactly where they were. And I think they did that. I think they lost 10-6 that final game. But as I was calling it in power plays and stuff, you're just going, oh man, they've got this guy. Oh, he's here too. Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Burns,
one more.
Smith, Thompson, Smith.
Oh, it was
Jackson.
gross. It was fun, but no.
Okay, well, let's end off here, Matty
Sure.
Carrick, because we appreciate your time here on Lax Class, and we're going to see each other in person again coming up in a couple of weeks in Whitby, Ontario. President's Cup. Speaking of JVI,
Yes, sir.
going to carry that, and we know a few things. Ladner, Six Nation, the Rivermen are back in there as they punched their ticket last night. Brooklyn, the Merchants, of course, the host. They're going to play in the. What are they doing for the final there? Lucas, do you know? Are they going to play like a best of 3 or something in that Ontario final?
Yeah, for the Senior B Championship here, it's 2 of 3.
Okay, so that makes sense with both teams being in. It's down to Snake Island and Kahnawake for the Three Nations. Not exactly sure again what's going on in Can-Am, Newtown, Tuscarora in there, Tonawanda. I'm not exactly. Do you know, Matt? I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you know what's going on in Can-Am?
I'll be completely honest with you. I've been immersed so much in Junior A right now.
Yeah, me too.
I've also got my kids with me. They live in Sudbury, so I get my 4 weeks, and they're all together. So we were at the cottage. We've been just beat the pants off them in Mario Kart before I logged on here. So we're learning life lessons today. But no, that's been taking up most of my time. Okay. As soon as Junior A finishes, I'll be in Senior B mode for the
all
Prezi.
right. So looking most likely like the Miners, I would think, will be back. They usually represent Alberta.
Yep.
They're our main fixture there. And then I believe Saskatchewan going to just slap together like a virtual all-star team of that province's best players and see how they do with Shatler and the boys coming in. So it's going to be another fun President's Cup, and every game going to be available on the JVI Sports Network on what are we talking here? We're August 24th through the 31st. I believe. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Pat Gregoire is going to be there. I think Joe Sullivan going to sit in for a few games as well. You've done a President's Cup. We did one in Oakville just a couple of years ago, Matt. This is one of the best tournaments in lacrosse, hands down.
Yeah, so this will be my third. We actually did 2015 as well back in St. Catharines, I believe it was 2015, and yeah, like you said, just an awesome tournament. You've still got the name talent, but then you've got other guys who are kind of trying to make a name for themselves. And like you said, you got powerhouse provinces coming in with the teams that have won. Then you got other provinces who are trying to stick their nose in the mix too, bringing the best that they can assemble. So I've always enjoyed calling the tournament. Always enjoy calling games with yourself, Patty, like you said. And yeah, JVI's cooking up some cool stuff for the broadcast too. So stay tuned for more of that. And August 24th, we get going.
All right. Well, that's the thing with the Prezi. Like we saw last year out there in Ladner, there's always, I want to say like 2, 3, 4 guys that you knew nothing about going into that tournament that all of a sudden make a name for themselves and they end up getting drafted or signed to an NLL team from their performance from the President's Cup. I don't think this year will be any exception.
No, I think you're bang on. And that's what makes it great, right? And the same guys who have been playing Senior B for, a bucket of balls and maybe a 6-pack or whatever, like they've been playing. This will be 16 years or however many for some of those guys too. And, excited to tell some of those stories as we go on as well.
Joe Hall going into
that was the first guy I thought about. Yeah.
23rd year or something. All right. Larger, you got anything else for the lacrosse boss before we let him go?
I do not, other than I'll see you at the Bunny Barn tomorrow night, Matty. All the best to you playing Mario Kart with your kids, and you and I will see each other around the arenas and right back in Whitby on Friday. I won't be there, unfortunately, but all the best to you calling the rest of the finals, man.
Thank you very much. It adds to the fun when the Ontario Lacrosse Festival is on as well. For those who aren't familiar with that, I mean, there's about 800 people running around. The barn was packed last night, and some of them weren't even there supporting any team. They were just there to have a good night of the festival. So excited to get back there Friday. But, of course, tomorrow we'll see you, Lucas, in Orangeville, game number 3.
All right, Matty. Keep up the good work, my man. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, and thanks for joining us here on Lacrosse Classified.
Thanks for the invite. Anytime, guys. Appreciate all the work you do. I love listening to Lax Class here.
All right, there you go. There he is, the lacrosse boss, mic'd up Matt Carrick, and has really made a name for himself, Lucas, as a play-by-play guy, and he does a lot of other work for JVI when he's not on the microphone. He's behind the scenes doing stuff as well. But I've said this, I'm on record here on the podcast. Matt Carrick deserves a shot at the National Lacrosse League. I hope some team out there that's looking for an announcer, whether it be this year or years to come, give this man a shot in Matt Carrick. He's not going to let you down. One of the best in our game. Let's take a break. Period 3 is next. Lax Class Lock of the Week. On the other side, stay classified.
Associated Labels and Packaging, a fun family company that offers premium quality labels and packaging with unparalleled service. With 40 years of experience, an extensive product catalog, and an ever-growing fleet of equipment, Associated Labels and Packaging is the perfect fit to take your labels and packaging to the next level.
Hey, this is Jeff Snyder. You're listening to Lax Class, your go-to source for all things NLL and box lacrosse.
Period 3, Lax Class Lock of the Week. No more breaks here on the podcast for episode 350. Thanks for hanging with us. Jay Kelly, Lucas Arger, coming down the stretch here. And this is always the time I like to ask the classmates, let's get the classroom filled up here by following the podcast, sharing the podcast, subscribing and reviewing, and whatever else you can do. Give us a follow on social media as well. Lax Class Podcast on X, Lacrosse Classified on the Insta. Got the Blue Sky. I've got an email, lacrosseclassified@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of us that way. People do that from time to time that aren't on social media but listen to the podcast and they want to get something off their chest. lacrosseclassified@gmail.com is where you reach us. And if you search us up, Jay Kelly, Lucas Arger, you'll find us on social media as well. We'd appreciate it if you did all of that. That helps our show grow engagement and move up the charts and more people listening and all that sort of stuff. We appreciate it all, so please do. And now, Lucas, let's get into it here for the Lax Class Lock of the Week.
Lock of the Week.
Hey, let's lock and load it!
I am going to be a very rich dude.
Ooh, it's a big lock, all right.
The Lax Class Lock of the Week is brought to you by CoolBet Canada. CoolBet.com is the website you go to. And then before you deposit any money in there, if you're a first-time signer-upper, put all your info in. And then before you put any money in, put in the bonus code LAXClass. And the Polar Bears will match your first-time deposit up to $200. Then you got $400. And there's more than just lacrosse to gamble on CoolBet. You can literally get down on anything. They even throw like politics, spelling bee, you name it. They'll put it up there. Disc golf, of course, Lucas, but the normal, baseball, basketball, hockey, football. Oh, football is right around the corner. NFL style, baby. That's usually where the account runs dry. That's the hardest league to win money at. Gambling on the National Football League. Hard. Doesn't go well, but we'll see. So go to coolbet.com, sign up for an account, put in the bonus code LAXClass, get free money, and then find the exclusive tab there on CoolBet, and you will see the Lacrosse Classified parlay, exclusive to CoolBet Canada. I think Signor Gregoire is back from Italia. Is he back? He was there. I thought he moved there for a second. He was gone so long, but I think he's back.
He is? I thought he posted a photo a couple hours ago saying he's still over there.
Maybe
I could be wrong, but
No,
I think he's still over there across the pond.
All right, so we may have to slide into the CoolBet DMs to get the parlay up once again. He didn't have service for quite some time. And like I said, you're going to have to jump on this pretty quick because Thursday odds are coming up. We can't predict the future and what's going to happen in playoff series, but we know Game 4 of Bellies and Shamrocks is going to go on Thursday night, tomorrow night from Victoria. I can't tell you what the series will be at, but I know that game's going to be played. By the way, MSL odds are now up on CoolBet as well. They usually wait until playoff time, but there they are. Chiefs and Owen Sound, Peterborough and Brooklyn. The odds are up there if you want to have a little peek and a little looky-loo at that. But we're going to stay in the WLA, and we're going to Victoria Thursday night for Game 4. It's 1-1 right now, Game 3 tonight, so we don't know if Bellies are going to be up 2-1 or Shamrocks are going to be up 2-1, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to go Shamrocks plus 1.5. We're going to go under 19.5. We're going to go Q 4 points or more, and we're going to go Joe 4 points or more. And I can't plus 375, plus 400, I want to say somewhere around in there after we get a little boost up there from CoolBet for the exclusive parlay. We pieced this together just moments ago with a collaborative effort this weekend. I've been trying to avoid talking about this, Lucas, but I'm going to do it anyways. Last week, with Patty being back in Italy. And I don't think he's Italian. I know he's got a vowel on the end of his name, but I don't think Greggy's Italian. But he was off the grid. So I submitted the parlay. Nothing happened. So finally I got into the DMs on X and Coolbet, and I said, hey, I don't know who's monitoring this account, but if you can maybe get the parlay up, that'd be great. We're kind of cutting it close here. Classmates want to get down. He goes, oh, sure. Yeah, send it over. I'll get it up. And I said, oh, great. I said, well, since you haven't submitted it yet, I kind of like to change the parlay because after watching game 1 in Coquitlam, I had a bit of a change of heart on how I felt about the parlay that we pieced together last week. So I switched a couple of things around, and one of those being Maple Ridge at +1.5. I took Coquitlam at -2.5. And that turned out to be a real mistake. The original parlay that you put together would have cashed. And I switched it, and it didn't cash. Claridge put up, I think, 9 points in that game. We got that. We got the over. We got everything else, but that game went to overtime, and Coquitlam won by a goal, so Maple Ridge covered. We would have won your parlay, but I changed it. I feel guilty. I feel bad. I feel sick. But we cost the classmates some money last week. I'm sorry.
You should have messaged Funky on my reaction and what I did in my basement when I was watching the stats online and I saw what happened. I'm like, come on. Claridge for 9. We hit the over.
We
covered the spread. And I looked at Funky, and Jake, I kid you not, I looked at Funky and I said, please tell me Jumbo's pulling a prank on me, and he did not just say that in the chat. But anyways, it's all good, man. I forgive you. And yes, it was a collaborative parlay we put together. 4 points for Jones and Q. I think it's going to be a shootout.
Well, Jones, I mean, we got to go under 19.5 here, but that doesn't mean that the big ballers are not going to show up in this game. Jones averaged 5.2 points per game all season long. Q was up over 4 points per game all season long as well. So hopefully she comes home. We make up for, my mistake last week, and we bring it home here for the classmates this week. We are going to send this podcast home this week as well. That was a monster one for episode 350. Appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate Associated Labels and Packaging, Rycor Construction, Edge Dynamics, Goalie Factory, Coolbet, and the WLA for supporting the podcast. Please support our sponsors. Give them a like, give them a follow, and that's the best way to support our sponsors who support this podcast and keep this podcast cranking out every single week. We will be back next week with EP 351. All the usual tidbits will be back in here. The fun will continue, and we'll figure it out as we go. But we got to get out of here for now. I want to thank Matt Caruk for stopping by. I want to thank the classmates for listening each and every week. We'll talk to you next Wednesday, high noon Pacific time. For Lucas Arger, I've been Jake Elliott for the fastest game on 2 feet. For the creator, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay classified.